Madam Deputy Speaker.
I call the member for Coomera.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the road to today, to this week, where we debate the bill before us, the Voluntary Assisted Dying Bill 2021, has taken an emotional toll on all of us and many, many others in our communities. But that toll pales into insignificance when we consider the pain, suffering and emotional toll for those that this bill is intended to assist. As well, it pales into insignificance when we think of the emotional toll impacting those close family and friends that are there to support and comfort them. Today, I spoke to a group of legal studies students from Livingston Christian College. A great deal of what I spoke about related to this bill and the journey to where we are as a House today. I outlined what a Member of Parliament does. I said that we are the voice of our community in this place. Yes, we are their voice and we must listen to them, but we are also one of them with our own views on the issues we face in this process. Recently I spoke with a student, one-on-one, from one of my other schools who approached me with a specific question about this bill, and she seemed to think that the issues at the time were quite straightforward, and it was a straightforward decision. We spoke for some time, and I hope I was able to properly explain, using examples at times, that it is not that simple, that there's a lot to consider: community, family, specific details. And I'll try to share a little of what I shared with her. The first thing I talked about was my mum. My mum suffered from mesothelioma. Mum fought for 18 months or more, struggling for breath every day. When we spoke to her on the telephone, we could speak for 30 seconds if we were lucky, a minute, and she just had to go. She couldn't talk, she couldn't breathe. My dad was absolutely amazing as her sole carer, and they shared those times together, and he remembered those times together as precious, as did we. And then one night, when all of the family were there, she said to me, "I think I'll die tonight." And thankfully she did. Thankfully, the pain was gone. But at no time in that time did my mum ever wish that she had the option of being taken early. My dad, 15 years later, suffering from asbestosis, from the same source as my mum. She washed the clothes, Dad wore the clothes. And the end came on quickly for Dad, and the end was quick, just a matter of days. And what I mean by that is that he didn't suffer the way my mum suffered for an extended period of time, although there was some suffering there. And then out of the blue, he was admitted to hospital. I got a phone call. I was in Darwin at the time, indeed, and we flew back straight away, and he was gone in just a matter of a few days. But again, Dad fought to the bitter end. He fought every minute in bed. When we all knew he was going, he continued to fight. And then there is my friend of 40 years who, 5 years or so before he died, suffered a brain tumour. And his initial fight to live bought him, against the odds, some quality time with his family. He went into hospital operation after operation, and each time it was the question before he went in was, do we resuscitate if things go badly, and each time it was yes. He was of that mind. And his horrendous pain in the end, just to be touched, was the contrast to that. Whilst he was there, whilst he was able to comprehend, whilst he still saw value in his life with his family and the community, he wanted to keep going. And in the end, though, just to touch him, to kiss him on the forehead, I remember, I'll never forget it, him squealing in pain. He was an amazing and intelligent man, and knew he was not much longer for this world, with one of his regrets being that he would die and all his knowledge would be lost. Those that knew him knew what he meant. He gave so much to his community in the later years to a men's shed in his community, and he had a lot of skills across a lot of areas. They knew what he meant, and it was in no way said with anything other than a genuine motive that he couldn't keep teaching. I do believe, though, that in the end he was of sound mind, and he would have elected to take this path if it were available to him. That was what the pain was. Palliative care was a wonderful experience for him. Certainly the palliative care people that I witnessed did some wonderful work, and I know they do wonderful work. We've all read material from so many in that profession, and how they do it, I don't know, but they do it, and they do it wonderfully. And that pathway must continue for those that cannot choose the path that we're debating here today. But it must be properly funded on an ongoing basis. One issue I want to mention: vulnerable people are a great concern to me. Who is on their side? As a financial planner for more than 20 years, clients spoke to me about family. Clients spoke to me about the way they were being treated by family and being told, why are you hanging around? Isn't it time you took off, got rid of yourself, do whatever? And it was just soul-destroying to hear it. It was absolutely soul-destroying, but it's out there. And so those vulnerable people, who's going to look after them? I thought long and hard on this very issue. There is no complete answer. Indeed, this legislation may save some. Subtle coercion is almost impossible to combat, but whether this bill passes or not, the coercion will still be there. I'm aware that the disability community have major concerns in that regard. Are there flaws in this bill? Yes. Hopefully members will support the Members for Southern Downs amendments, which I believe will help against those subtleties that I'm talking about, and other things. Toowoomba South, did I say? Sorry, the Toowoomba South. I, as many members have, consulted my community in a regular survey. Of almost 1,500 respondents over time, almost 4 in 5 said yes to the question, should the Queensland Parliament debate voluntary assisted dying legislation? I agree with the sentiments of the crossbench who put forward the amendment, and I think $275 million a year in palliative care services would go a long way to assisting the whole of Queensland. I didn't have an opportunity to speak because that debate was cut short by the Leader of the House, as is her right, but it would have been, I think, a good opportunity for us all to say a few more words in that regard. Madam Deputy Speaker, at the end of this debate I will vote with my head, but with my heart at the centre of my decision.